The new god of Pluperfection. The new gods of Pluperfection. The new god of Pluperfection. The new goddess of Pluperfection. The new goddesses of Pluperfection. The new goddess of Pluperfection. The old god of Pluperfection. The old gods of Pluperfection. The old god of Pluperfection. The old goddess of Pluperfection. The old goddesses of Pluperfection. The old goddess of Pluperfection. The greater god of Pluperfection. The greater gods of Pluperfection. The greater god of Pluperfection. The greater goddess of Pluperfection. The greater goddesses of Pluperfection. The greater goddess of Pluperfection. The lesser god of Pluperfection. The lesser gods of Pluperfection. The lesser god of Pluperfection. The lesser goddess of Pluperfection. The lesser goddesses of Pluperfection. The lesser goddess of Pluperfection. The higher god of Pluperfection. The higher gods of Pluperfection. The higher god of Pluperfection. The higher goddess of Pluperfection. The higher goddesses of Pluperfection. The higher goddess of Pluperfection. The lower god of Pluperfection. The lower gods of Pluperfection. The lower god of Pluperfection. The lower goddess of Pluperfection. The lower goddesses of Pluperfection. The lower goddess of Pluperfection. The greater spirit of Pluperfection. The greater spirits of Pluperfection. The greater spirit of Pluperfection. The lesser spirit of Pluperfection. The lesser spirits of Pluperfection. The lesser spirit of Pluperfection. The higher spirit of Pluperfection. The higher spirits of Pluperfection. The higher spirit of Pluperfection. The lower spirit of Pluperfection. The lower spirits of Pluperfection. The lower spirit of Pluperfection. The major god of Pluperfection. The major gods of Pluperfection. The major god of Pluperfection. The major goddess of Pluperfection. The major goddesses of Pluperfection. The major goddess of Pluperfection. The minor god of Pluperfection. The minor gods of Pluperfection. The minor god of Pluperfection. The minor goddess of Pluperfection. The minor goddesses of Pluperfection. The minor goddess of Pluperfection. The superior god of Pluperfection. The superior gods of Pluperfection. The superior god of Pluperfection. The superior goddess of Pluperfection. The superior goddesses of Pluperfection. The superior goddess of Pluperfection. The inferior god of Pluperfection. The inferior gods of Pluperfection. The inferior god of Pluperfection. The inferior goddess of Pluperfection. The inferior goddesses of Pluperfection. The inferior goddess of Pluperfection. The ancestor god of Pluperfection. The ancestor gods of Pluperfection. The ancestor god of Pluperfection. The ancestor goddess of Pluperfection. The ancestor goddesses of Pluperfection. The ancestor goddess of Pluperfection. The ascendant god of Pluperfection. The ascendant gods of Pluperfection. The ascendant god of Pluperfection. The ascendant goddess of Pluperfection. The ascendant goddesses of Pluperfection. The ascendant goddess of Pluperfection. The descendant god of Pluperfection. The descendant gods of Pluperfection. The descendant god of Pluperfection. The descendant goddess of Pluperfection. The descendant goddesses of Pluperfection. The descendant goddess of Pluperfection. The transcendent god of Pluperfection. The transcendent gods of Pluperfection. The transcendent god of Pluperfection. The transcendent goddess of Pluperfection. The transcendent goddesses of Pluperfection. The transcendent goddess of Pluperfection. The past god of Pluperfection. The past gods of Pluperfection. The past god of Pluperfection. The past goddess of Pluperfection. The past goddesses of Pluperfection. The past goddess of Pluperfection. The present god of Pluperfection. The present gods of Pluperfection. The present god of Pluperfection. The present goddess of Pluperfection. The present goddesses of Pluperfection. The present goddess of Pluperfection. The future god of Pluperfection. The future gods of Pluperfection. The future god of Pluperfection. The future goddess of Pluperfection. The future goddesses of Pluperfection. The future goddess of Pluperfection. The authentic god of Pluperfection. The authentic gods of Pluperfection. The authentic god of Pluperfection. The authentic goddess of Pluperfection. The authentic goddesses of Pluperfection. The authentic goddess of Pluperfection. The synthetic god of Pluperfection. The synthetic gods of Pluperfection. The synthetic god of Pluperfection. The synthetic goddess of Pluperfection. The synthetic goddesses of Pluperfection. The synthetic goddess of Pluperfection. The progressive god of Pluperfection. The progressive gods of Pluperfection. The progressive god of Pluperfection. The progressive goddess of Pluperfection. The progressive goddesses of Pluperfection. The progressive goddess of Pluperfection. The regressive god of Pluperfection. The regressive gods of Pluperfection. The regressive god of Pluperfection. The regressive goddess of Pluperfection. The regressive goddesses of Pluperfection. The regressive goddess of Pluperfection. The ordinary god of Pluperfection. The ordinary gods of Pluperfection. The ordinary god of Pluperfection. The ordinary goddess of Pluperfection. The ordinary goddesses of Pluperfection. The ordinary goddess of Pluperfection. The extraordinary god of Pluperfection. The extraordinary gods of Pluperfection. The extraordinary god of Pluperfection. The extraordinary goddess of Pluperfection. The extraordinary goddesses of Pluperfection. The extraordinary goddess of Pluperfection. The static god of Pluperfection. The static gods of Pluperfection. The static god of Pluperfection. The static goddess of Pluperfection. The static goddesses of Pluperfection. The static goddess of Pluperfection. The dynamic god of Pluperfection. The dynamic gods of Pluperfection. The dynamic god of Pluperfection. The dynamic goddess of Pluperfection. The dynamic goddesses of Pluperfection. The dynamic goddess of Pluperfection. The land god of Pluperfection. The land gods of Pluperfection. The land god of Pluperfection. The land goddess of Pluperfection. The land goddesses of Pluperfection. The land goddess of Pluperfection. The sea god of Pluperfection. The sea gods of Pluperfection. The sea god of Pluperfection. The sea goddess of Pluperfection. The sea goddesses of Pluperfection. The sea goddess of Pluperfection. The sky god of Pluperfection. The sky gods of Pluperfection. The sky god of Pluperfection. The sky goddess of Pluperfection. The sky goddesses of Pluperfection. The sky goddess of Pluperfection. The god of Pluperfection. The gods of Pluperfection. The god of Pluperfection. The goddess of Pluperfection. The goddesses of Pluperfection. The goddess of Pluperfection. The half god of Pluperfection. The half gods of Pluperfection. The half god of Pluperfection. The half goddess of Pluperfection. The half goddesses of Pluperfection. The half goddess of Pluperfection. The vessel of Pluperfection. The vessels of Pluperfection. The vessel of Pluperfection. The name of Pluperfection. The names of Pluperfection. The name of Pluperfection. The person of Pluperfection. The persons of Pluperfection. The person of Pluperfection. The persona of Pluperfection. The personas of Pluperfection. The persona of Pluperfection. The personage of Pluperfection. The personages of Pluperfection. The personage of Pluperfection. The personality of Pluperfection. The personalities of Pluperfection. The personality of Pluperfection. The personification of Pluperfection. The personifications of Pluperfection. The personification of Pluperfection. The image of Pluperfection. The images of Pluperfection. The image of Pluperfection. The imagination of Pluperfection. The imaginations of Pluperfection. The imagination of Pluperfection. The belief of Pluperfection. The beliefs of Pluperfection. The belief of Pluperfection. The thought of Pluperfection. The thoughts of Pluperfection. The thought of Pluperfection. The word of Pluperfection. The words of Pluperfection. The word of Pluperfection. The action of Pluperfection. The actions of Pluperfection. The action of Pluperfection. The reaction of Pluperfection. The reactions of Pluperfection. The reaction of Pluperfection. The feeling of Pluperfection. The feelings of Pluperfection. The feeling of Pluperfection. The situation of Pluperfection. The situations of Pluperfection. The situation of Pluperfection. The circumstance of Pluperfection. The circumstances of Pluperfection. The circumstance of Pluperfection. The environment of Pluperfection. The environments of Pluperfection. The environment of Pluperfection. The relationship of Pluperfection. The relationships of Pluperfection. The relationship of Pluperfection. The number of Pluperfection. The numbers of Pluperfection. The number of Pluperfection. The formula of Pluperfection. The formulas of Pluperfection. The formula of Pluperfection. The equation of Pluperfection. The equations of Pluperfection. The equation of Pluperfection. The theory of Pluperfection. The theories of Pluperfection. The theory of Pluperfection. The symbol of Pluperfection. The symbols of Pluperfection. The symbol of Pluperfection. The color of Pluperfection. The colors of Pluperfection. The color of Pluperfection. The thing of Pluperfection. The things of Pluperfection. The thing of Pluperfection. The way of Pluperfection. The ways of Pluperfection. The way of Pluperfection. The place of Pluperfection. The places of Pluperfection. The place of Pluperfection. The time of Pluperfection. The times of Pluperfection. The time of Pluperfection. The event of Pluperfection. The events of Pluperfection. The event of Pluperfection. The result of Pluperfection. The results of Pluperfection. The result of Pluperfection. The crown of Pluperfection. The crowns of Pluperfection. The crown of Pluperfection. The throne of Pluperfection. The thrones of Pluperfection. The throne of Pluperfection. The Pluperfection King. The Pluperfection Kings. The Pluperfection Kingdom. The Pluperfection Kingdoms. The Pluperfection King's subject. The Pluperfection King's subjects. The Pluperfection King's dominion. The Pluperfection King's dominions. The kingdom of Pluperfection. The kingdoms of Pluperfection. The kingdom of Pluperfection. The Pluperfection Queen. The Pluperfection Queens. The Pluperfection Queendom. The Pluperfection Queendoms. The Pluperfection Queen's subject. The Pluperfection Queen's subjects. The Pluperfection Queen's dominion. The Pluperfection Queen's dominions. The Queendom of Pluperfection. The Queendoms of Pluperfection. The Queendom of Pluperfection. The Pluperfection Prince. The Pluperfection Princes. The Pluperfection Princedom. The Pluperfection Princedoms. The Pluperfection Prince's subject. The Pluperfection Prince's subjects. The Pluperfection Prince's dominion. The Pluperfection Prince's dominions. The Princedom of Pluperfection. The Princedoms of Pluperfection. The Princedom of Pluperfection. The Pluperfection Princess. The Pluperfection Princesses. The Pluperfection Princessdom. The Pluperfection Princessdoms. The Pluperfection Princess's subject. The Pluperfection Princess's subjects. The Pluperfection Princess's dominion. The Pluperfection Princess's dominions. The Princessdom of Pluperfection. The Princessdoms of Pluperfection. The Princessdom of Pluperfection. The Lord of Pluperfection. The Lords of Pluperfection. The Lord of Pluperfection. The Lordess of Pluperfection. The Lordesses of Pluperfection. The Lordess of Pluperfection. The Priest of Pluperfection. The Priests of Pluperfection. The Priest of Pluperfection. The Priestess of Pluperfection. The Priestesses of Pluperfection. The Priestess of Pluperfection. The Ritual of Pluperfection. The Rituals of Pluperfection. The Ritual of Pluperfection. The Shrine of Pluperfection. The Shrines of Pluperfection. The Shrine of Pluperfection. The Temple of Pluperfection. The Temples of Pluperfection. The Temple of Pluperfection. The Leader of Pluperfection. The Leaders of Pluperfection. The Leader of Pluperfection. The Follower of Pluperfection. The Followers of Pluperfection. The Follower of Pluperfection. The Natural Substance of Pluperfection. The Natural Substances of Pluperfection. The Natural Substance of Pluperfection. The Supernatural Substance of Pluperfection. The Supernatural Substances of Pluperfection. The Supernatural Substance of Pluperfection. The Temporal Substance of Pluperfection. The Temporal Substances of Pluperfection. The Temporal Substance of Pluperfection. The Spiritual Substance of Pluperfection. The Spiritual Substances of Pluperfection. The Spiritual Substance of Pluperfection. The Natural Form of Pluperfection. The Natural Forms of Pluperfection. The Natural Form of Pluperfection. The Supernatural Form of Pluperfection. The Supernatural Forms of Pluperfection. The Supernatural Form of Pluperfection. The Temporal Form of Pluperfection. The Temporal Forms of Pluperfection. the temporal form of Pluperfection, the spiritual form of Pluperfection, the spiritual forms of Pluperfection, the spiritual form of Pluperfection, the age of Pluperfection, the ages of Pluperfection, the age of Pluperfection, the era of Pluperfection, the eras of Pluperfection, the era of Pluperfection, the awakener of Pluperfection, the awakeners of Pluperfection, the awakener of Pluperfection, the awakening of Pluperfection, the awakenings of Pluperfection, the awakening of Pluperfection, the realm of Pluperfection, the realms of Pluperfection, the realm of Pluperfection, the dimension of Pluperfection, the dimensions of Pluperfection, the dimension of Pluperfection, the zone of Pluperfection, the zones of Pluperfection, the zone of Pluperfection, the frequency of Pluperfection, the frequencies of Pluperfection, the frequency of Pluperfection, the century of Pluperfection, the centuries of Pluperfection, the century of Pluperfection, the millennium of Pluperfection, the millenniums of Pluperfection, the millennium of Pluperfection, the purpose of Pluperfection, the purposes of Pluperfection, the purpose of Pluperfection, the meaning of Pluperfection, the meanings of Pluperfection, the meaning of Pluperfection, the culture of Pluperfection, the cultures of Pluperfection, the culture of Pluperfection, the demonstrator of Pluperfection, the demonstrators of Pluperfection, the demonstrator of Pluperfection, the demonstration of Pluperfection, the demonstrations of Pluperfection, the demonstration of Pluperfection, the manifester of Pluperfection, the manifestors of Pluperfection, the manifester of Pluperfection, the manifestation of Pluperfection, the manifestations of Pluperfection, the manifestation of Pluperfection, the presence of Pluperfection, the presences of Pluperfection, the presence of Pluperfection, the glow of Pluperfection, the glows of Pluperfection, the glow of Pluperfection, the goal of Pluperfection, the goals of Pluperfection, the goal of Pluperfection, the plan of Pluperfection, the plans of Pluperfection, the plan of Pluperfection, the book of Pluperfection, the books of Pluperfection, the book of Pluperfection, the philosopher of Pluperfection, the philosophers of Pluperfection, the philosopher of Pluperfection, the philosophy of Pluperfection, the philosophies of Pluperfection, the philosophy of Pluperfection, the releaser of Pluperfection, the releasers of Pluperfection, the releaser of Pluperfection, the release of Pluperfection, the releases of Pluperfection, the release of Pluperfection, the variable of Pluperfection, the variables of Pluperfection, the variable of Pluperfection, the cause of Pluperfection, the causes of Pluperfection, the cause of Pluperfection, the effect of Pluperfection, the effects of Pluperfection, the effect of Pluperfection, the journey of Pluperfection, the journeys of Pluperfection, the journey of Pluperfection, the emergence of Pluperfection, the emergences of Pluperfection, the emergence of Pluperfection, the source of Pluperfection, the sources of Pluperfection, the source of Pluperfection, the originator of Pluperfection, the originators of Pluperfection, the originator of Pluperfection, the origin of Pluperfection, the origins of Pluperfection, the origin of Pluperfection, the forefather of Pluperfection, the forefathers of Pluperfection, the forefather of Pluperfection, the foremother of Pluperfection, the foremothers of Pluperfection, the foremother of Pluperfection, the ancestor of Pluperfection, the ancestors of Pluperfection, the ancestor of Pluperfection, the descendant of Pluperfection, the descendants of Pluperfection, the descendant of Pluperfection, the lineage of Pluperfection, the lineages of Pluperfection, the lineage of Pluperfection, the heritage of Pluperfection, the heritages of Pluperfection, the heritage of Pluperfection, the heir of Pluperfection, the heirs of Pluperfection, the heir of Pluperfection, the co-heir of Pluperfection, the co-heirs of Pluperfection, the co-heir of Pluperfection, the joint heir of Pluperfection, the joint heirs of Pluperfection, the joint heir of Pluperfection, the dynasty of Pluperfection, the dynasties of Pluperfection, the dynasty of Pluperfection, the force of Pluperfection, the forces of Pluperfection, the force of Pluperfection, The law of Pluperfection. The laws of Pluperfection. The law of Pluperfection. The pact of Pluperfection. The pacts of Pluperfection. The pact of Pluperfection. The game of Pluperfection. The games of Pluperfection. The game of Pluperfection. The mask of Pluperfection. The masks of Pluperfection. The mask of Pluperfection. The armor of Pluperfection. The armors of Pluperfection. The armor of Pluperfection. The sword of Pluperfection. The swords of Pluperfection. The sword of Pluperfection. The shield of Pluperfection. The shields of Pluperfection. The shield of Pluperfection. The force shield of Pluperfection. The force shields of Pluperfection. The force shield of Pluperfection. The armored force shield of Pluperfection. The armored force shields of Pluperfection. The armored force shield of Pluperfection. The champion of Pluperfection. The champions of Pluperfection. The champion of Pluperfection. The guardian of Pluperfection. The guardians of Pluperfection. The guardian of Pluperfection. The defender of Pluperfection. The defenders of Pluperfection. The defender of Pluperfection. The protector of Pluperfection. The protectors of Pluperfection. The protector of Pluperfection. The chant of Pluperfection. The chants of Pluperfection. The chant of Pluperfection. The shape of Pluperfection. The shapes of Pluperfection. The shape of Pluperfection. The cube of Pluperfection. The cubes of Pluperfection. The cube of Pluperfection. The cuboid of Pluperfection. The cuboids of Pluperfection. The cuboid of Pluperfection. The sphere of Pluperfection. The spheres of Pluperfection. The sphere of Pluperfection. The spheroid of Pluperfection. The spheroids of Pluperfection. The spheroid of Pluperfection. The prism of Pluperfection. The prisms of Pluperfection. The prism of Pluperfection. The pyramid of Pluperfection. The pyramids of Pluperfection. The pyramid of Pluperfection. The cylinder of Pluperfection. The cylinders of Pluperfection. The cylinder of Pluperfection. The cone of Pluperfection. The cones of Pluperfection. The cone of Pluperfection. The triangle of Pluperfection. The triangles of Pluperfection. The triangle of Pluperfection. The circle of Pluperfection. The circles of Pluperfection. The circle of Pluperfection. The semicircle of Pluperfection. The semicircles of Pluperfection. The semicircle of Pluperfection. The square of Pluperfection. The squares of Pluperfection. The square of Pluperfection. The rectangle of Pluperfection. The rectangles of Pluperfection. The rectangle of Pluperfection. The parallelogram of Pluperfection. The parallelograms of Pluperfection. The parallelogram of Pluperfection. The rhombus of Pluperfection. The rhombuses of Pluperfection. The rhombus of Pluperfection. The trapezoid of Pluperfection. The trapezoids of Pluperfection. The trapezoid of Pluperfection. The polygon of Pluperfection. The polygons of Pluperfection. The polygon of Pluperfection. The pentagon of Pluperfection. The pentagons of Pluperfection. The pentagon of Pluperfection. The hexagon of Pluperfection. The hexagons of Pluperfection. The hexagon of Pluperfection. The septagon of Pluperfection. The septagons of Pluperfection. The septagon of Pluperfection. The octagon of Pluperfection. The octagons of Pluperfection. The octagon of Pluperfection. The nonagon of Pluperfection. The nonagons of Pluperfection. The nonagon of Pluperfection. The decagon of Pluperfection. The decagons of Pluperfection. The decagon of Pluperfection. The evolution of Pluperfection. The evolutions of Pluperfection. The evolution of Pluperfection. The revolution of Pluperfection. The revolutions of Pluperfection. The revolution of Pluperfection. The elemental art of Pluperfection. The elemental arts of Pluperfection. The elemental art of Pluperfection. The elemental science of Pluperfection. The elemental sciences of Pluperfection. The elemental science of Pluperfection. The elemental principle of Pluperfection. The elemental principles of Pluperfection. The elemental principle of Pluperfection. The elemental technology of Pluperfection. The elemental technologies of Pluperfection. The elemental technology of Pluperfection. The low elemental art of Pluperfection. The low elemental arts of Pluperfection. The low elemental art of Pluperfection. The low elemental science of Pluperfection. The low elemental sciences of Pluperfection. The low elemental science of Pluperfection. The low elemental principle of Pluperfection. The low elemental principles of Pluperfection. The low elemental principle of Pluperfection. The low elemental technology of Pluperfection. The low elemental technologies of Pluperfection. The low elemental technology of Pluperfection. The high elemental art of Pluperfection. The high elemental arts of Pluperfection. The high elemental art of Pluperfection. The high elemental science of Pluperfection. The high elemental sciences of Pluperfection. The high elemental science of Pluperfection. The high elemental principle of Pluperfection. The high elemental principles of Pluperfection. The high elemental principle of Pluperfection. The high elemental technology of Pluperfection. The high elemental technologies of Pluperfection. The high elemental technology of Pluperfection. The agent of Pluperfection. The agents of Pluperfection. The agent of Pluperfection. The agency of Pluperfection. The agencies of Pluperfection. The agency of Pluperfection. The amplifier of Pluperfection. The amplifiers of Pluperfection. The amplifier of Pluperfection. The amplification of Pluperfection. The amplifications of Pluperfection. The amplification of Pluperfection. The enhancer of Pluperfection. The enhancers of Pluperfection. The enhancer of Pluperfection. The enhancement of Pluperfection. The enhancements of Pluperfection. The enhancement of Pluperfection. The magnifier of Pluperfection. The magnifiers of Pluperfection. The magnifier of Pluperfection. The magnification of Pluperfection. The magnifications of Pluperfection. The magnification of Pluperfection. The influencer of Pluperfection. The influencers of Pluperfection. The influencer of Pluperfection. The influence of Pluperfection. The influences of Pluperfection. The influence of Pluperfection. The emanator of Pluperfection. The emanators of Pluperfection. The emanator of Pluperfection. The emanation of Pluperfection. The emanations of Pluperfection. The emanation of Pluperfection. The converger of Pluperfection. The convergers of Pluperfection. The converger of Pluperfection. The convergence of Pluperfection. The convergences of Pluperfection. The convergence of Pluperfection. The aura of Pluperfection. The auras of Pluperfection. The aura of Pluperfection. The impression of Pluperfection. The impressions of Pluperfection. The impression of Pluperfection. The intelligence of Pluperfection. The intelligences of Pluperfection. The intelligence of Pluperfection. The sophistication of Pluperfection. The sophistications of Pluperfection. The sophistication of Pluperfection. The genius of Pluperfection. The geniuses of Pluperfection. The genius of Pluperfection. The polymath of Pluperfection. The polymaths of Pluperfection. The polymath of Pluperfection. The psychic of Pluperfection. The psychics of Pluperfection. The psychic of Pluperfection. The knowledge of Pluperfection. The knowledges of Pluperfection. The knowledge of Pluperfection. The understanding of Pluperfection. The understandings of Pluperfection. The understanding of Pluperfection. The wisdom of Pluperfection. The wisdoms of Pluperfection. The wisdom of Pluperfection. The secret of Pluperfection. The secrets of Pluperfection. The secret of Pluperfection. The mystery of Pluperfection. The mysteries of Pluperfection. The mystery of Pluperfection. The revelation of Pluperfection. The revelations of Pluperfection. The revelation of Pluperfection. The tactic of Pluperfection. The tactics of Pluperfection. The tactic of Pluperfection. The strategy of Pluperfection. The strategies of Pluperfection. The strategy of Pluperfection. The strength of Pluperfection. The strengths of Pluperfection. The strength of Pluperfection. The might of Pluperfection. The mights of Pluperfection. The might of Pluperfection. The power of Pluperfection. The powers of Pluperfection. The power of Pluperfection. The authority of Pluperfection. The authorities of Pluperfection. The authority of Pluperfection. The dominion of Pluperfection. The dominions of Pluperfection. The dominion of Pluperfection. The rhythm of Pluperfection. The rhythms of Pluperfection. The rhythm of Pluperfection. The melody of Pluperfection. The melodies of Pluperfection. The melody of Pluperfection. The music of Pluperfection. The musics of Pluperfection. The music of Pluperfection. The lyric of Pluperfection. The lyrics of Pluperfection. The lyric of Pluperfection. The song of Pluperfection. The songs of Pluperfection. The song of Pluperfection. The dance of Pluperfection. The dances of Pluperfection. The dance of Pluperfection. The spirit of Pluperfection. The spirits of Pluperfection. The spirit of Pluperfection. The soul of Pluperfection. The souls of Pluperfection. The soul of Pluperfection. The body of Pluperfection. The bodies of Pluperfection. The body of Pluperfection. The mark of Pluperfection. The marks of Pluperfection. The mark of Pluperfection. The promise of Pluperfection. The promises of Pluperfection. The promise of Pluperfection. The visionary of Pluperfection. The visionaries of Pluperfection. The visionary of Pluperfection. The vision of Pluperfection. The visions of Pluperfection. The vision of Pluperfection. The picture of Pluperfection. The pictures of Pluperfection. The picture of Pluperfection. The sound of Pluperfection. The sounds of Pluperfection. The sound of Pluperfection. The dung of Pluperfection. The dungs of Pluperfection. The dung of Pluperfection. The language of Pluperfection. The languages of Pluperfection. The language of Pluperfection. The communication of Pluperfection. The communications of Pluperfection. The communication of Pluperfection. The people of Pluperfection. The peoples of Pluperfection. The people of Pluperfection. The society of Pluperfection. The societies of Pluperfection. The society of Pluperfection. The fortress of Pluperfection. The fortresses of Pluperfection. The fortress of Pluperfection. The government of Pluperfection. The governments of Pluperfection. The government of Pluperfection. The city of Pluperfection. The cities of Pluperfection. The city of Pluperfection. The nation of Pluperfection. The nations of Pluperfection. The nation of Pluperfection. The civilization of Pluperfection. The civilizations of Pluperfection. The civilization of Pluperfection. The world of Pluperfection. The worlds of Pluperfection. The world of Pluperfection.